Hey y'all, and welcome to another episode of Beauty Told. Yes, it is your relationship podcast where you are going to learn from me and my guests. And the overall premise is that you guys are going to be able to have healthier, beautiful, growing, and glowing relationships. And we're going to help you to be able to do so. So, welcome, welcome. It's your girl, Britt. And yes, as always, I have a great, fabulous guest. Now, a few episodes ago, I had a male mental health therapist, and we were able to get the male side of things. But of course, y'all know your girl. I got to switch it up and make sure you get the female side. It's only fair. So I have my girl, Miss Courtney Williams, who is going to give us more expertise and help both of us out, but definitely giving it from the female perspective. So welcome, Courtney.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I am so excited to be here.
I am so excited to have you. Listen, me and you met at Darcy's event.
Yes, that was earlier this year, right?
It was It was for the Valentine's Day.
It sure was. Yes,
it was for Valentine's Day. I'll never forget it. And I'm like, ooh, like I like her.
Oh, thank you.
Like, I need her.
Yes, we had fun in that group too. It was like small, intimate.
Yeah.
But I feel like we had fun and had a really good discussion in that group too when we came. So yeah, that was fun.
I had fun too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely showed me some different things. I learned different things. Hearing what others have went through and overcome.
Yes.
It was just a great way for us to be able to know where we started versus where we are now, and that some stuff we are just not willing to tolerate anymore.
Right.
So it was a great experience.
Yes.
So
shout out to Embrace That Curve.
Shout out to Embrace
therapy group that she does like once a month. So it's nice. Yeah. So it was really
Yeah.
cool to be able to help facilitate. And like you said, people came in, and I don't know if it's the intimate space or just, the fact that everybody makes everyone feel comfortable.
Right.
But I love when people share.
Me too.
Right? Like their experiences and feel comfortable, because to me, that's how you really learn, is off of other people's experiences. Like you can read a book, which is great. Right? But that learned experience, that life experience is such a good teacher.
Ain't nothing like it. And I'm just glad that it also aligned schedule-wise, because she was always booking them on. It was a certain day. She was always booking them on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
And I'm on the pull-up experience, as y'all know, because y'all should be tuned in for that too.
Yes,
and I'm like, girl, if time allows, if we don't have any guests that day, I will come. And it just so happened that she moved it on a Wednesday, which I'm off.
Yes.
And look how it all just full circle worked out, because I got to meet you. So
same.
So welcome. So listen, I want you to be able to tell them more about you, and then we're gonna dive into what we're gonna talk about.
All right. So my name's Courtney Williams. I am a licensed independent now. I have to get used to saying that because it's new as of last month. But I am a licensed independent social worker. I have been in the world of social work since 2010, when I graduated from Case Western Reserve University. And I started working with kids and adolescents, actually. So I have been through the gauntlet of social work jobs. Listen, so I have paid my dues, but so I've been doing that. I was social work started in 2010 working with kids, and then I went back and got my master's in social work. But I graduated from Case with a psychology degree, so I've always wanted to work with people, kind of know how people's mind works, be able to help people. And social work was like the avenue I took to do that. So more recently, so I did, like I said, I've done a gauntlet of social work jobs, but I needed something where I could work from home, and I found a job where I do telehealth therapy. And it's with a company called ThriveWorks, and I get to I meet with anybody in the state of Ohio that needs therapy services from the comfort of my office, my home office. So it's really convenient because, again, people get to meet with me where they're comfortable, and I get to meet with them where I'm more comfortable. It allows me the flexibility that I need. And when I started doing that 2 years ago now, I kind of was thrust into couples therapy. So it was interesting because one of the first appointments I got was a couples therapy appointment, and I had never done I know how to do couples therapy from learning, but I had never done a couples therapy session before. I had been in couples therapy, but I never done one before. So I was like, oh my God, I did not know what I'm doing. Loved it from the first session. And I was like, I want to kind of like dive knee deep into this. So I did like a training. I've done a few trainings and got some certifications in couples therapy. Have done like therapy, the therapy group with Embrace That Curves, and just continuing to do couples therapy in my practice. I've learned a lot from it. So I really have a passion for couples therapy. So premarital counseling, divorce counseling, beginning and end of the marriage. We help you help in anything in between. So not just married couples too, but also, people who are just dating and in relationships. And I've also helped people with I don't want to say recovery, but recovery from relationships. People who are going through breakups and going through that life transition. I've allowed, it's allowed me to be helpful to them. So, and I've learned a lot through the process. Like I tell people all the time, I learn so much from my clients. Like they teach me while I'm helping them. So yeah, it's been a very good experience. Yep.
Well, listen, all of that has helped to, mold you and shape you into what you are today, that is helping people, like I said, overall just be able to grow and learn and thrive together, and or know when it's time to separate,
to exit
and be better apart, because everybody ain't meant to be with that person.
Come on now. Yeah.
And I think that's where we struggle with. So speaking of struggles with, since your expertise is in the relationship realm, what would you say when it comes to my beauties and gents, what would you say is like probably the most top struggle? What is it that most people tend to struggle with, or what's the major concerns on both the female and male side of things?
Female and male side. So I want to speak in general.
Okay.
Over the past few years, and just talking to people that are in relationships, not just clients but friends, family, things like that. What I've seen people struggling with is boundaries.
For sure.
Right? That's in relationships, that's outside of relationships, that's with interpersonal relationships, friendships, right? Male and female folks struggle with boundaries. They struggle with maintaining boundaries, setting boundaries, people trampling all over their boundaries. Sometimes you set boundaries and people are like, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
Right. The reaction that you get from folks when you set a boundary, right? And I think they are like more, I don't want to say more popular. It's not trendy to have boundaries, but people are learning what boundaries are. And being like, oh, that's a vibe. I like that. Right. I need to have a boundary with this person because they invading this part of my space, or this, they bother me in this way. Right. So but I see people struggling to set and maintain boundaries as they're, trying to learn about them. Right. And people, like I said, disrespecting them too. On the female side though, I've seen a lot of, and kind of along with today's topic, but I see a lot of women, healing from relationships or going through things in relationships and blaming themselves for what happened, right? So they might have ignored something in the beginning or in the middle or towards the end, and then they're blaming themselves, beating themselves up for, I should have known better, right? I should have known better. For men, I don't, I haven't had a lot of male clients individually for that have dealt with like dating and relationship issues, but one of the first clients I got, male client, he was a young man, and he was healing from like his first like real relationship from a breakup, and this girl broke his heart. Right. And he was, I would say, this very good guy, but his part was moving on from it, right, and healing in a way that he still wanted to be in relationships moving forward, right? So not to be too crass or anything like that, but this relationship he went through, he could have easily sworn off women and be like, I'm just gonna be a player, like forget it, ain't no point in trying to be a faithful guy, ain't no point in trying to be a good guy. I'm just gonna do what I want to do. And instead he took the time to like really heal from the relationship and try to figure out what went wrong with him, right? Which I always told him, you're my client, right? I could care less about her. And even he got to a point where he could care less about her too.
Good, that's what we wanted to get to.
But you're my client. I want you to heal from this. I can't fix her. Right? But I can help you get to the point to where, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but one of the things that helped him was using therapy to just go through the relationship and see, where I could have made different decisions and where I died to myself for this person, and where I went against my, own beliefs and boundaries, where I might maintain my own boundaries and allow somebody to, do whatever they want. So that was a very enlightening client experience for me, because one, he had to set up therapy to do that.
Yeah.
That took determination. Like, he really wanted to be healed.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
sorry, I might have gone on a tangent,
No,
but
no. Because I think that that's important.
yeah.
Because not every, and I don't know what maybe sparked him to finally come to you
Mm-hmm.
or to finally seek, therapy. Because not everybody even gets to that point.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it was like maybe family, friends, or maybe just him looking himself in the mirror and realizing like, what can I do to better me? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Everybody finds it a little differently, but the overall hope is that it will help to undo those layers and really get a deep dive into yourself to be a better you for not only yourself but for your future partner as well, because that way you become a dynamic duo.
Yes,
like
exactly.
So
I can talk about that too.
Listen,
Yes.
you might as well, because I think that's another thing that people tend to like. Oh, I'm giving relationship advice, or I'm giving this advice, and then do you practice what you preach, or have you even went through some things to get to that point? So I know that you are happily married.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so therefore that gives you already credibility to be able
Yes.
to know what you're doing, along with you got your educational to back you up.
Background, yes.
But even from the personal standpoint, I know that you said you and your spouse, you guys went through therapy as well.
Yes. So I could talk about that for sure. So he and I we'll be married 10 years next year, y'all.
Congrats. That's
awesome.
awesome.
So we've been together though on and off since 2009, right? So we met. I wasn't 21 yet. We won't talk about that. How we met. He was working at a bar, let me in anyway. It was great. It was meant to be, y'all.
That's right. That's the important part.
We were babies basically when we met, and we have like grown up together, since then. But we had some growing pains in our relationship. When I say on and off, there were some times we weren't together, still talking, dealing with each other, right? Yeah. But trying to figure out, who we were outside of our relationship, you know what I mean, during that time. And a lot of what we had to do when we did couples therapy as premarital counseling. Okay. And I will, forever thank the lady who did the premarital counseling. She was great. Very knowledgeable. God-fearing lady, right? So it was not just therapy, it was it was biblical too, right? And you need that, right? Yeah, especially because when you're entering a marriage, listen, the devil does not want two people to come together, okay? So when I tell you everything got thrown in our way when we was trying to get married, y'all, right? Like we needed Jesus, okay? Like, and it was financial stuff, job stuff, all that kind of stuff, but it was but that's how we knew it was meant to be. Yeah. But the premarital counseling was so valuable to us because it was unique too. So it was group therapy,
yeah,
along with individual counseling. And when I say group, like we were in a group with 2 other couples.
Okay, that is different.
Yes, I wasn't expecting that when we first started. I was like, "What is this?" I thought it was just gonna be me and him. That's enough. That's enough folks, right?
Sure.
We need all these other folks for it. But it was very enlightening because we were in there with different stages of couples. Okay. And I think for a young couple that we were at the time, and we, getting ready to enter a marriage, we saw 2 different, couples in 2 different stages. And we were in a different stage. We were young, with the youngest couple in there.
Okay.
The couple who had been married the longest, they were, I think, headed towards divorce. Wow, and it was interesting seeing, here we are giddy and ready to get married and going to Jamaica for the honeymoon. We all excited. And they were in a place where they were, I don't remember exactly what their issue was. It was some time ago, but they were hitting a crossroads in their marriage, right? Sure. So that was interesting to kind of maybe see that aspect of, okay, that's the direction we don't want to go in, but also hearing what they had went through to get to that point, right? Was also enlightening. They were like career people, and so are we, you know what I mean? So it was like a cautionary tale. Yeah. The other couple was quite interesting. I hope that to this day when I think about them, I hope they made it down now, like y'all, because anyway. But yeah, they had met and gotten engaged in like 6 months.
Oof, okay.
Right.
That's a nice short
yes,
time.
And they were like 10 years older than us, and it was funny because they would say, "Oh, y'all young," right? But me and him, we would get in the car leaving. They were like, "We've been together longer than they have." You know what I'm saying? We know each other. And then the groom wanted to walk down the aisle.
Yeah, that's
red flag. I'm
not,
sorry.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, we're gonna get to the flags of it, but yeah, that's
So I was a little, if they were interesting, but
Yeah.
it was interesting to see them as well, right?
Right.
Because they had their perspective and of that kind of passionate love, right?
Yeah.
To me, when you meet and get engaged and then trying to get married within a year, right?
Yeah.
That's y'all love each other. That's love,
Woo,
love,
yeah,
right?
y'all in it for
But just
sure.
the aspect of the issues that they had were unique to our issues, were unique to the other couple's issues. So that was a really cool
Wow.
experience having a group,
Yeah.
the group
Okay.
therapy. And then we had individual counseling, too, with just us. And that first I would say from marital counseling up to like the first year of marriage was a lot of kind of breaking down past hurts we had done to
Yep.
each other,
That's
right?
important.
Because even though
Yeah.
we love each other, we had in those on and offs, right? There had been some
Mhm.
things that we had done to each other that needed to be discussed. We
Yeah.
needed to come back and talk about that, like, because we were apart during that time, right? So how he
Okay.
interpreted it, right? How
Right.
I interpreted it, what scars were left. Our first, I would say, like I said, from premarital counseling and that first year of marriage was really having really deep conversations
Wow.
and breaking down what happened during that time, so we wouldn't make the same mistakes again.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
And one of the wonderful things that she had us do to wrap up couples therapy was we created like I want to say a pact or a pledge for like our marriage, not just for our marriage, but for our family.
Yeah.
So it's like 5 things that we're going to hold as value
Okay.
for our marriage. I got the thing laminated. Like I was like, this is serious.
Aw.
We keeping this,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
And sometimes we have to go back to that and like remind ourselves this we
Yep,
agreed
this is
to,
what we
because we
agreed.
said we're gonna stand by,
That's
right? And
good.
so
Keeps
yeah,
you accountable.
yes, it
So I
did
like
exactly.
that.
Yep,
Definitely.
that was a cool experience.
Okay.
And so when I had the opportunity to do couples counseling, I was like, oh, I'm all in with this. Like I want to help other couples the way that we were helped. And one of the first couples I got was they were getting ready to get married. So yep, so it was really cool and kind of full circle experience.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I mean, I think that that's very like. First of all, kudos to you guys for doing that, because not everybody takes the time to get the premarital counseling, to get the individual, assessment of themselves, so that way you can make sure that everything has been put out on the table. And is this still what we want to do forever?
Yes.
Because that might be where a lot of these, marriages that unfortunately have turned into divorce, that might have been ways that could have been a pivotal point where we might have stopped in the tracks, maybe took a little bit more time to, get to know the person and get to know their past hurts, their past traumas, because a lot of us don't realize we're walking around with these traumas. I know I'm a victim of it myself. I was walking around with a lot of my my childhood trauma was more so like abuse.
Okay.
So I didn't realize that also down the road when I, found my husband, at the time, I didn't know how to love.
Yeah.
I didn't even know how to receive it, because what I saw as love was totally different. Wasn't healthy. It even caused me to be like more of a people pleaser and things like that. So that way, you wouldn't be mad at me or, take aggression and stuff like that. So you just don't realize all of what you have been through. And then you think, like silly me, when I was thinking like, oh, I'm grown, I'm out of that house now, I was just sleeping on the rug, I'm fine. I'm fine. That was always my answer. I'm fine. But deep down, you're really not fine.
Yeah.
And if you don't address it, it really just got buried.
Yes.
So it's still there.
Yep.
And, it eventually
it
rises up and it becomes a whole problem.
Up. Yep. And it comes up when you least expect it sometimes.
For sure.
Right? Like
definitely.
you would hope it would come up before the marriage or during the relationship, so you could work on it to get it out the way. And then you 4 years into your marriage and the daddy issues are showing up. What happened?
Right. That's kind of how it was like, oh, okay.
Right?
So
yeah.
What you must do with your mom? Like, oh, this is like, I ain't signed up for, this is him. I ain't signed up for this. And I'm in denial about it. So that's never, so that's a clash. He's wanting to tell me to get, it's one thing for someone to tell you like, you need therapy. Like, no one's gonna take it right when you're, pointing the finger. You need therapy. You need help. There's something wrong with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you come from a loving place, that can be the turning point for someone to seek the help. Now, I eventually found the help, y'all, as you already know.
Amen.
But it was in a point where the marriage had already ran its course and fell apart. But it helped to make me a better me for the next go around with my next true love. So would you say that I know that you said there was some with some struggles, female and male side, I'm surprised that trauma wasn't one of them, but I'm sure
Yes.
I'm sure it's either
It's
close
there.
2 or close 3.
It's
It ain't
there.
too far from
Yes.
it.
So trauma, it's funny you say that, because a lot of what I see with traumatic experiences, people don't label them as traumatic.
Yep.
Not right off the bat,
Yeah.
right? So somebody's traumatic could be somebody else's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a regular day. It's Taco Tuesday. I don't know what you mean.
Right,
I go through this all the time, right? So it's funny when you said, you had your own traumatic experience. It could go from experiences you feel are completely normal or have been normalized for you to things that are, really traumatic, like abuse, right? Like divorce, right? Physical abuse, emotional abuse, those things that leave those scars. But it could also be being raised in, a two-parent household, right? And like I said, somebody else's traumatic is not, the other person's traumatic. But a two-parent household doesn't mean,
that
healthy.
everything's fine.
Right. Yeah.
Yep, that's
You
true.
can be in a two-parents household and they was getting ready to fight all the time.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so what do you carry from that into your relationship? What do you learn from that?
Yeah.
So it's as far as trauma, the way I unpack that in couple therapy, and this is premarital counseling, divorce counseling, anything. One of the first things I do is have couples come in and we talk about family of origin, right?
Okay.
So what did the household you look like?
What did it
You
look
grew
like?
up in, look like, right? How did you all
important.
communicate?
Yeah.
Right? How was conflict handled?
Yeah.
That's a big one.
That's a huge one.
How were you disciplined?
Yes.
Right? What was your attachment to your parents, your caregiver, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of that will not determine, but a lot of that leads to how you act as an adult and in those relationships. So that's I said, we unpack that right away.
Good.
Yep. So one of the first things that I work on with clients, and sometimes it depends on the client, how far along they are. If they're good with communication and I feel like they communicate well, a lot of them don't.
Okay. That's real.
Right. But we'll start there. And we talk about, how did you communicate in the household growing up?
Yeah.
Right. Because some people clash just from that.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm sure.
Like I use my self and my husband as an example. Just being transparent. My parents handled conflict in a way that they argued. You know what I'm saying? They gonna raise voices. They gonna argue, and that's how they were. God bless them. You know what I mean? And we saw it. You know what I mean? So we were present for it.
Yeah.
My husband was raised in a household where if they did have a disagreement, they might have argued and things like that, but they didn't see it as kids.
Wow.
They weren't
So
really
they kept
privy
it
to it.
closed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So, a lot of our kind of pushing and pulling in the beginning of that was, I'm gonna handle it. I'm gonna be loud. I'm gonna say what I want to say, and I'm gonna argue. I'm gonna escalate, right? I'm gonna take it up, right, right. And his was not the same way. So we had to kind of carve, how we're going to argue.
Wow.
In couples therapy.
Okay.
Right. And I have people do that in couples therapy.
Okay.
How do y'all argue? What's the issue? Who escalates who? Right? Do you need to take a break? Do y'all need to schedule the argument? Right?
Okay.
So each side has time to calm down, consider their side, come up with their argument. Because the worst thing is being caught off guard.
Whew.
Right?
From
you blind, you walking in the house, somebody ready to argue with you. Now I don't know what to say. I'm off guard. I didn't get all my points out. Now I'm in the shower 3 hours later saying everything that I wish I would have said to your face.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Now we holding on to the anger,
right.
Yes.
But yeah, so sorry, I know we were talking about trauma, but no. Unpacking those childhood experiences, whether they're traumatic or not, is a very important part of, how you communicate in a relationship, how you're attached to your partner, how you react to, do I need to, if they leave, am I chasing after them? Or am I like, bye, because you was going to go anyway?
Right.
That's related to attachment. How you were attached to your parents or your caregivers, or how you've been attached to people, throughout your life. So, and trauma plays a really big part in that.
It does.
Trauma plays a really big part in that. Yes. I see with people who've had traumatic experiences are more avoidant sometimes, avoidantly attached with their partners. So it's like, I love you, right, but I ain't gonna let you get too close. Yeah. Right. So
you still have a little bit of like a wall to a certain degree up, and sometimes it takes brick by brick.
Yes. Yep.
To come down. So
and it is interesting too, because in relationships, do you have a partner that is going to stick around while you figure out that trauma? right? Right? While you unpack it, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
we're in a relationship, are you unpacking? Now we talked about, is it 4 years into the marriage? Is it before y'all walk down the aisle? Right. So, and just having a partner that's willing to stick it out while you are trying to work those things out with yourself. Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah. So trauma plays a big role in all of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure, for sure. And
Yep.
the sooner we can, address it or maybe
Mhm.
figure that out, the better that we can become, or at least start to do the work and do the steps to be able
Yes.
to become, to better ourselves and to learn and grow.
Mhm.
So, me and you have mentioned, periodically through the episode about the, flags, because that, I
Yes.
mean, we're in a day and age where we got the red flags, and then we try to make it pretty and we throw some green
Green
flags
flags.
in
Yes.
there.
Yes. I
And
like the green
then
flag videos I see on Instagram where they show somebody
I
doing
do
something cool in a
too.
relationship. Like, oh, he's such a green
Yes.
flag or she's such a green flag. I'm like, this is positive. Yes. I love
It's
positivity.
about time. I
Yes.
do too. I have a few of them saved as well, because I'm like,
Yes.
oh, that is so cute. And
Yeah.
then there was one that kind of like brought more humor to it, because it's like the guys, all the green flags, they're like small. And then there's like one guy in the background that's like got this huge red flag,
Yep.
but he's more charming. And
Yep.
so she's like,
Yeah. I'm like,
yeah.
yeah.
But we attracted to.
Yep.
Oh gosh, I'll take
Like
you
a
back
bull, right?
Yes.
She
That's
was
exactly
running towards
what
them
it
red
is.
flags. What's wrong with
Listen. Take us back to our younger
Yes.
years when you wanted the bad boy
Yes,
versus
yes,
the
yes,
good guy
yes,
who was
yes.
gonna be
I
more
welcome the
of
red
a.
flag back then.
Me
Got
too.
issues?
Me
I can fix
too.
it.
Open
Okay.
door pop. Come on in. Come on in.
Yes, I
But
do,
then
and
we grow.
that's that young stuff, because I
It
it's
is.
funny because I'm thinking of that when I was younger, and I'm gonna say I ran towards red flags. That's not what I did
Right.
knowingly, right?
Right.
But excuse me, the issue, the kind of thought of, oh, he got a problem, I can fix it.
Yep. That part.
It's not that bad.
That
I
part.
can make it better. Right.
We can
So
work
we might.
through it. Mm-hmm.
You might, you might like the red flag,
Right.
right? Or the red flag was cute,
Yeah. Or fine.
right? He had muscles.
Because now it's like, I don't know if I can let that go,
He had a nice
Leave
core.
alone.
So
Oh,
yes, it's so
gosh.
funny that the young life. We didn't. I don't know if we had red flags back in those days.
I'm sure
trying to
we
think.
did, but we ain't know about it.
Yes,
It's so much.
exactly.
It's so funny how like now social media and everything is bringing more. It's shining more of a brighter
Yes,
light,
labeling
on,
things for us, right? Because I'm
yeah.
sure, like you said, I'm sure we had red flags. I don't know if we called them that, though,
Right.
right?
Oh yeah, we definitely
Yeah.
did. We definitely did. From day one, it was definitely toxic.
Yes.
But we was inviting
Yes.
and willing to cope with the toxicity.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
So yeah.
Yep.
So we want to. So we, like I said, we want to change that narrative. We
Yeah.
want to be able to have people that are happy. And what do you think is some things that we can maybe pick up right from the back? Are we able to maybe see someone who's maybe went through some like traumas or unhealed,
Mhm.
that we can just know, maybe pick up a little sooner? Like, okay, yeah, you're not ready yet
Yeah.
for a relationship. I think you still need to work on you. What's some ways we could be able to?
Absolutely. So, so you referring more to like green flags, or like it's somewhere in the middle?
Well, you know what? We didn't talk about the middle.
Yeah.
Because we talked about how the red flags, the danger, and then the
Mhm.
green flags are so pretty.
Yes.
But you have, and I love that we got to talk before we got on this episode, because never have I ever had someone to phrase it, but you have something that's right in the middle.
Mhm.
So help us out and give us a
Yeah.
little more insight on that, because
So-
I loved it.
Yes. So this is actually the first time I'm kind of discussing it, but just from things I see on social media, things I talk to with clients, and friends and family in their own dating and relationship experiences. You got red flags, right? That's when you stop, right? When everybody
Mhm.
knows the traffic lights. You stop. That's a red flag. It's the hard no, right?
Right.
And you got green flags. So it's like, yes, please pass go. Please collect $200. This is great. Keep going, right? But in the middle, what do you have? Like, what if something's not necessarily a red flag? Like, you don't necessarily, it's not a deal breaker,
Yeah.
right? But it's not a green flag either. Like, oh, I don't know, right? I'm not
Mm.
sure to press go just yet.
Right.
And so that's when you got the yellow flags, right? Right in the middle of the traffic light. And that's proceeding with caution, right?
Yeah.
So some people have things that aren't deal breakers,
For
right?
sure.
They might be a little bit more understanding that somebody is a work in progress,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or hasn't gotten to this point yet.
Right.
Right.
Could
Or
definitely get there.
yes, has this
Mhm.
issue, right? But I'm willing to wait.
Yeah.
Wait it out.
Yeah.
I'm willing to see what happens, right?
Definitely.
And those are also subjective. And it's funny because when I asked my friends about this, right, and I told them I was doing a podcast, and I said, hey, I hit the group chat, right?
Yeah, immediately.
And I said, I'm going to talk about yellow flags too. And my friend who is, in the dating world, her thing, she said that she was like, everything's so subjective though. It depends on the person.
Definitely.
Right? And the red flags depend on the person. Somebody's red flag might be somebody else's green flag and vice versa.
That's true.
And somebody's yellow flag might be, so one of the examples that my friend gave, right, that is like, okay, I don't know, is if somebody's going through separation or divorce.
Okay.
Right?
That's true.
Because that doesn't mean you can't date.
Okay.
Right?
Definitely.
But I have seen, situations or, heard people say, well, I wouldn't date anybody unless the divorce papers is signed, right? So that might be your yellow flag, right? I'm waiting for you to let go of that previous relationship officially, right? To where the ink is dry,
for sure,
right?
For sure.
Or you're separated, right? So you separated, you can still get back with that person. That doesn't mean the marriage is over. That means you are literally just separated for right now. So is that a yellow flag for you? Is that a red flag, right? If you're interested in dating that person,
for sure,
right? For somebody who is the divorcee or the person who is separated, I might proceed with caution for any dating or relationship, right? Because maybe I do want to work on my marriage, but I want to see what else is out there, or that's their own morality. I won't get into that because that's also subjective for people. How they feel about, well, you're still married, so you're still technically in a covenant relationship, right? But people who are in that situation going through a divorce might have their own yellow flags, right? Especially if you just came out of a relationship, right? So I might proceed with caution with everybody.
Definitely.
My usual green flag might be a yellow flag now, right? Because I don't know, because of what happened I don't know if I want to go ahead with this person who has a great job, good pension, has a good salary. My last relationship had that too.
Right.
And it still went left, went south. Right. So that green flag for somebody could be a yellow flag for somebody else. I'm going to proceed with caution.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. Because there are definitely some things that do make you like ponder.
Yes.
Like, could I, because I think for me, when I got out into the dating world after being married, I think there was one gentleman, he was super nice, nice amount of like green flags, but one of them, the yellow flags for me, and again, it could have just been me though, is I was like, but he's not typically the look that I go for.
Aesthetics.
Yes. And I was like, can I look past that? Like, it literally did have me where I had to like seek friends and family. What do you guys think? Because there's a part of me that did want to go ahead and pursue and see, but there's another part of me that's like, but will it even work? So you're at that crossroads, So I definitely agree that there are some yellow, and I obviously I took a chance, you guys seen him on episode, but would I have known what could have been or what couldn't have been? Because there were other things, obviously, of why the relationship didn't work out. But believe it or not, I actually grew to like really find him more attractive the more I got to get to know him, the more he was going on dates, the more we were talking, the more we were dating. So it's funny how that yellow flag became more of like a green flag. Like,
it turned into a green flag.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it definitely can change if you're willing to, like you said, still go with caution. Yes. But take the time.
Yeah. One of the other things, like you think about people being a work in progress, right? People who are in the process of healing, right? Yeah. So somebody being in therapy might be a green flag for somebody, like they're working on themselves, but it could be a yellow flag for somebody. Absolutely. Like you're clearly growing through something. I'll allow you to go through therapy and come back to you, step back, right? That could be a yellow flag for somebody. That's a good example. Yeah. Because are you in the process? What you working on in therapy? Right.
What's wrong with you? You know what I mean? It's assuming, but
but I like how you mentioned aesthetics, and I remember too when watching the episode with Dr. Will.
Yes.
He mentioned like, no, we need preferences.
We do, yeah.
And I like that you considered it a yellow flag for aesthetic, because one of the things I often think about is Pop the balloon.
Yeah, Lord, yes, girl.
And we watch
I'm a little
clips
addicted to
sometimes,
it,
and I watch
yeah.
some of these clips with my husband, and he gets very irritated sometimes
he?
because they will. I mean, her toes ain't done.
Yeah.
Seriously, sir.
Yes. Yo, you got on a yellow and silver chain, so I can't.
One of the episodes I watched recently, the guy was like, it's your outfit. And I was like, sir, it's your outfit. Did you see what you have on?
I think I know which one
He had on his grandma. He looked like he pulled that
no.
off his grandmother's couch.
Girl,
Sir,
yes.
you have the nerve to talk about somebody's outfit.
Yes.
And your outfit is a whole red flag. You probably do know the episode I'm talking about, because the girl, she was cold too. She was cold. Yes. And I feel like some of the men was playing in her face.
Definitely.
So yes, sorry.
Definitely.
But I get frustrated by the aesthetic thing, because just a little bit, I feel like that could always be a yellow flag, because aesthetics can change. Definitely. You can change the way you look. Yeah. I can adjust the way I look. And some people might be willing to adjust the way they look if it's for their partner. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I can say this. I'm 9 years in marriage. I have French tips. I never get French tips. My husband's like, hey, can you try French tips? Yes. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Yes. Little stuff like that. But aesthetics can be adjusted.
It definitely can.
That can change. That can evolve, right? I can help you with your style if I don't like the way you dress, right? We can go shopping together. Yes, you know what I'm saying?
Easily. And we can find that neutral, with even the wardrobe. Yep. So yeah.
Yes. So it's aesthetic to me. And that's just, just in my opinion, could be a yellow flag. I agree. Right? That's something that somebody can work on.
I agree. Yeah. 100%.
So. Other things too that I was thinking of, like a yellow flag, and I'm thinking the things that could be a work in progress for people. For sure. Career. Yeah. Right? Depending on when you meet that person, or if they're still in school and they haven't established their career yet. Yep. Right? But if this man in med school... Right, med school. Sorry, I'm a fan of the game.
I love it. That's one of my favorites on Netflix.
I will rewatch only the first 4 seasons, y'all. Okay,
yeah, they went down when they switched over.
The BET seasons is something else. But anyway, but he's in medical school, or he's in law school, right? Or he is in school for a trade. Okay, HVAC. Let me say, it's money in HVAC. Have y'all? I don't know if you were a Real Housewives girl, but.
I dibbled and dabbled in it.
One of the new housewives, her husband does HVAC. And when I tell you, she live in like a castle.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, they make money.
So they make money. So are you willing to stick around while he gets his career together?
That's right. Can you help him with that?
Are you willing to build with somebody?
Your business skill set can help him to get to that next level.
Exactly. Okay. I think what's also important too is recognizing your own. And this is for men and women, right? And this is where accountability comes in. I see a lot on social media where men feel like women don't have any accountability. That's why you're laughing. They swear we don't have no accountability. I
know.
I see that sometimes in therapy. I will be honest with you, especially couples therapy. Yeah. And I'll get into that in a minute. But, recognizing your own yellow flags, things that somebody might want you to work on. Definitely. Before they, fully commit. Yeah. Right? Or, commit to marriage, right? To how I argue, right? Yeah. How I react to being upset with your partner, how I handle conflict. Yes. How I handle stress. Yeah. How do I help you when you're in a crisis, right? Do I expect you to
fix it yourself?
Fend for yourself, or am I there for you like you there for me, right? So recognizing too that, I do feel like I see a lot of women wanting, like, okay, what does he bring to the table? And they want men to bring everything to the table, which I agree. People have their standards, right? Yeah. But what's your table looking like, sis?
That part. That part.
Have you healed? Yeah. Right. And
have you done the work on yourself?
Have you done the work on yourself? And I'll be honestly, I can speak on myself, being guilty of, at one point I looked great on paper. Okay. My resume was great. You know what I'm saying? I got a degree. I am pursuing my master's. Yeah. I'm this, that, and I've had this experience, right? Mm-hmm. But attitude wise. Yeah. Right? And the relationship wise. So, I think sometimes women, we do get caught up that a little bit. Yeah. Like I got all my stuff together. Yeah. I'm great. I got this salary. I got this car. I'm independent, right? I got my own car. I got my own. Yeah, you know what I mean? But have you worked on your emotional control? Yep. Right? Are you going upside that man's head every time he say something you don't like?
Or putting them out on Front Street for the whole world to see.
Right. Because being good on paper, being good on a resume,
Mm-hmm.
right, doesn't make you great in a relationship. And that's for men and women.
That's good.
Right?
That's a good
Because some
point.
men feel like that too. I got all this. I got money. I got a good career. That man in
Mhm.
med school might be a little arrogant because
That's
he's
that.
in med school. You know what I mean? He can ready to be a doctor.
Little too flirtatious,
Right.
you
And
know?
rightfully
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
But that's great on your resume, but do
Yep.
you know how to treat
Does
me?
it work? Yeah, but how does that work in a relationship type of setting? Yeah.
Yeah. So those
good.
are things to consider too. Like what do I also need to work on? What is something that somebody
Absolutely.
could look at me as a yellow flag or a red flag,
Mm.
and doing the work before you try to get into a relationship,
That's
or
good.
you know, being accountable
Yep.
and holding yourself accountable. Let me work on this part of myself so I can be better in a
That's
relationship.
good. That's good.
Right?
You know,
Yeah.
and that I think that falls in these realms of emotional intelligence.
Yes.
Which I don't remember if I got to ask Dr. Will this question, but I
Mhm.
might as well ask you. So
Yeah.
when it comes to, because we see that phrase also thrown around, I need someone with emotional intelligence. We see it on Pop the Balloon.
Yes, we do.
So from your expertise, Miss Courtney, what is emotional intelligence, and how can one begin to start having, being able to assess themselves to be able to have that?
So in the basic sense, like, of the answer, the first thought that came to my mind, the one of the basic things about emotional intelligence is being able to recognize the emotion for what it is.
Yep.
And communicate that emotion.
That part.
That's emotional intelligence,
Yeah.
right? Just knowing what it is.
Yep.
So a lot of what I do in couples therapy, especially, but individual therapy too, is and I got this from a client, shout out to her, is name it to tame it.
Okay.
You have to name it to tame it.
Okay.
Right? So I do a lot of psychoeducation.
Okay.
And teaching my clients of what this is you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Right? This is what your anxiety looks like. This is
Mm-hmm.
what your sadness looks like. Right? And this
Mm-hmm.
is what depression is.
Mm.
Defining it for them.
Yeah.
Right?
That's good.
So that you're better able to control it. That's the trickle down. Right?
Okay.
Same thing with emotions.
Yeah.
The better you are able to name your emotions and communicate, hey, this is what this emotion is.
Right.
The better you're able to, control it, or, be in control of your emotions.
Definitely.
Right? So emotional intelligence to me is a little bit separate from emotional control, because the more emotionally intelligent you are, the better you are able to control your emotions. Yep. Right? But just knowing what it is.
Yeah.
Right? Being able to say, I feel frustrated today because ... as opposed to I got an attitude.
Right. We're not saying nothing at all.
Yes. Right?
Yeah.
Or, and even too, that works, two ways, right? Being able to express my emotion so that my partner recognizes that, instead of me just saying I got an attitude today,
right,
that I'm saying, no, I'm frustrated because this happened at work. Right?
Yeah.
And this is what it looks like for me. So that your partner next time will be like, hey, I see you frustrated.
Right.
What can I do for you? Right?
And then the emotional intelligence of a person to be able to accept it.
Yes.
Because some people are like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna let you just be with you know what I mean? So there's different ways to handle it. That way you do know that you both are on that level. Absolutely. As well. So yeah.
And like I mentioned the one of and I can use this as an example, I'm sure he won't mind, but the thing of I have an attitude. Yeah. Right? Being able to, but saying somebody had, calling out, oh, you got an attitude. That's not really descriptive of the real emotion behind it. So you could say, oh, she got an attitude today. Right. Right. But really, she's anxious. Yep. And frustrated because she was up all night worrying about something about her kid did. And now she's, frustrated because I got a phone call from the school today. Right. And I got to go home and deal with that. I got bills. Right, but we just see the attitude. Right, we don't define the emotion behind it sometimes, and it's easy to fall into that in relationships too. Yeah, to where I used to have an attitude. Oh, you know what I'm saying? And my husband would say, "Oh, you got an attitude," and we had to work on I had to work on defining even my emotion, right, and not just going silent. Yeah, like you said. Yep. Right, guilty of that. Not just looking mad and having this look on my face and communicating, "Hey, you know what? I'm sorry. I've had a rough day. I'm depressed." Right? Or I'm stressed out because I got 50 million things going on at work. Right. Right. Instead of me just saying I have an attitude. Right. Right. Exactly. And it was to a point where, I had to learn how to define my emotions for myself so I can communicate them to him. Yep. So he wouldn't just say, oh, you got an attitude. Because when he did that, I would get upset. But you don't even know, and I'm not going to. Right? But I have to be able to communicate. He's not a mind reader.
Right.
I have to learn how to communicate that better. Right. So it was a 2-4 thing. Definitely. Which is why, and then I'm sorry, just to go back to, it's why I love couples therapy, because you both need to work.
You both need to work.
It's the push and the pull. It's the give and the take.
That's
right? So in order for me to better learn for him to help me with my emotions, right? I had to get to the point where maybe I didn't need as much help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had to get to the point where I even knew.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah. That's so sorry. I hope that answered your question about emotional intelligence. But
definitely, because I think that we all need that. And I think that the key point that you put about, you pretty much just boxed it all into a pretty little box and put the bow on it. It's communication.
Yes.
It really is. Effective communication is your emotional intelligence. And how to be able to not only speak it, but to be able to receive it.
Yes.
As well. Okay. Yep. Well, I love how you broke that down, girl.
Yeah, I love, so communication too is, like I said, that's one of the first things I will work on with a couple in couples therapy. Because if you think about it, in that space, we're talking
all the time.
Gotta talk in couples therapy.
I should hope we are.
Right, but if y'all can't talk without cussing each other out the first 5 minutes, then this is not getting anywhere.
Wrong. Yeah.
So I have to. One of the things, and I think I mentioned this before when I talked about our own couples therapy, was how you argue. That's one of the first things I break down, especially if they're coming in on 10, right?
Yeah.
Right. So how are you all arguing? What's the rule? Do you all get to doing like this and get in each other's face? Because you know what I tell them? Sit on your hands.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
you're provoking each other.
Listen.
Yeah.
No hands.
Yep. No hands.
Let's see how far
right.
You get. That's
or
good.
This is something that was born from my own relationship.
Okay.
Are y'all texting?
Oh, okay.
To argue.
Okay.
And I want to break that down.
Because texting can go a different way.
This is for anybody you're arguing with, but especially in relationships. And some of y'all know this. You cannot read emotions.
You sure can.
From a text message. You just can't. I don't care how many. If you got the best grammar or the worst grammar, you cannot read emotions. You're going to put what you think.
Yep.
That person's emotion is on that text message when you're reading it. Or you might take your own emotion and apply that to what you're reading. I'm on 10.
Yep.
So I'm reading this text message like this person's on 10. Now I'm ready to fight, right? The other part of it is I love my partner.
Yeah.
Right? So one of the things that softens me is seeing his face.
Okay.
What I can't see when I'm sending the text message is his face.
Yep.
Right? So I'm going to say whatever to that phone.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Real quick.
Because I'm not in his face.
On there.
Yes, the Twitter fingers, right? Get the thugging, right?
Yeah.
Get the thugging on that iOS. And, not seeing your partner when you're face to face, it's harder to say those harsh, mean things to somebody that you love.
Yeah.
Right? Even if you don't love them, even if it's somebody you beefing with. It's harder to say those because I might have to. I might have to move around. Now I might have a problem on my hands. So it's harder to come off harshly like that. So I tell couples sometimes, don't text. You cannot text each other when you are arguing. Put them phones down.
Yep. So we're doing a lot of putting down, but it's for our own benefit.
It's for your own
I
benefit.
Can appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's something that when I tell you, we have to go back to it all the time, me and my husband, because like I said, it is easier, right? You want to get your emotion. I got to say what I got to say right now, and you gonna hear what I got to say.
That's
and you
right.
Gonna read. So if I can't say it and you ain't gonna listen to it, but you can read it all, it's not safe, y'all. Y'all gotta stop that. It's not safe.
It's not
safe because you also don't want to say something in that moment where you're not face to face, where they can't see you, where you got the unlimited characters to say what you want to say.
Oh yeah, emojis don't help.
Yes, in that you may say something that you can't take back, and now it's in writing. Now they can screenshot it.
Lord, yeah, you're right. Now they got their proof,
right?
Okay?
Yeah, and it's been times too where, I'll tell couples like I said, mentioned earlier, schedule the argument.
Yeah.
Schedule it.
That's a good.
Make sure you all are both in a good headspace because you trying to argue with me while I'm at work. So 9 ain't even on 10. I'm on 12.
Yeah.
Because I'm confused. I'm frustrated about work. Now I'm anxious about getting back to work. Everybody watching me argue. I'm making a scene. It adds on so many layers to it. So
It
schedule it to where
does.
you are both in a good space, and then sometimes I say, hopefully by that point it wouldn't even be an argument.
Yeah, I was gonna say because you've
It's a
had time to
discussion.
simmer down, so
Yes.
you can really actually have mature
Mm-hmm.
adult conversations at that point
Yeah.
versus we acting like
Yeah.
kids out here.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
And
Okay.
you want to talk about yellow flags for no, actually red flags for couples therapy. I'll give you one for this.
Okay.
Is and actually a colleague of mine came up on this recently. Intimate partner violence.
Mm.
So one of the things that and this is from the company that I work for, but even from my own standards, if there's any recent within 6 months intimate partner violence, we don't suggest couples therapy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gotta wait a little bit because the part of it too is y'all, if it's face to face, y'all not fighting in my office. Okay.
I know that's
You're
right.
about to tear
Period.
up my furniture.
That's good.
Especially
Take
once
that
I get my
somewhere
own
else. I
practice.
know that's right.
I'm gonna have some nice furniture when I get my own practice. Y'all ain't gonna tear my stuff up. But the other part is via telehealth, right?
Yeah.
And I do a lot. See all of my couples via telehealth. Y'all get to fighting on this Zoom call. I can't call. What I'm gonna do?
Yeah.
I can't break that up. Then I'm gonna feel like I caused it.
Oh yeah.
Right. And there are things that come up in couples therapy where I want one person to feel comfortable sharing what they need to share to their partner to their face. And that's what I'm there for, to facilitate that discussion, to kind of mediate it, all of that stuff. But if I have a fear, if I can't guarantee that they are going to, if I can't guarantee they're not going to be fighting or they're not going to, I hate to say it, hit you or hurt you from you saying that personal thing in this space, that makes me uncomfortable. I can't. So it's an ethical thing, right? As
it
a
definitely
therapist,
is. I can completely understand.
That's a red flag.
Yeah.
But it is something that clearly therapy is needed.
Yeah, I agree.
Big boundary violation right there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, red flag for couples therapy is that the intimate partner violence is tough because, again, you don't want to set somebody up to be hurt in that way.
Yeah.
But clearly the therapy is needed, right? Yes. Yeah. Clearly some communication work is needed. Like you need to lead with communication and not with hands. Amen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So, as we kind of flip it over to more of a more healthier side, what are some habits that that those of us can be able to, maybe lifestyle changes, something that could be able to make us a better us for,
absolutely.
dating.
Yes. That's a great question, first of all.
Thank you.
So shameless plug. I'm gonna say therapy.
Yes.
Right?
Agreed.
I have people who, I've had somebody in therapy who was like, and it's hard because I couldn't find a diagnosis and insurance stuff, right? But anyway, he was like, I'm looking to be in a relationship. I want to be a better person just overall. I just left a relationship. I cheated on the previous person. And he said, I want to figure out what's going on with me that I did that.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And unfortunately, it was, he didn't end up staying in therapy, but I commended him. I made sure I told him before he, terminated therapy, was like, thank you for doing this because everybody should do this. Definitely. Right? And sometimes, people like have a therapist on retain. You just know a therapist that you can go to where if you want to go back into therapy, you can get into it. Right. Also recently I had a person contact me who, they were in a relationship previously, are now working on getting back together. And she's like, she hit me up, and she's actually a previous, staff person of mine. And she's like, hey, I know you do couples therapy and we are getting back together. We had some issues in the past and we want to work on these things. So can we do couples therapy? That's awesome. Yes. Yeah.
That's the way to get it right.
Yeah, absolutely. So to me, at any stage of it, right? Like I said, we didn't start couples. We had been together probably almost on and off 10 years before we started any type of, had any type of counseling between the two of us. Right. Okay. So shameless plug, but get you a therapist individually. Yes, right? Definitely. Or couples therapy. I do recommend, this is just my opinion, and you don't have to go off of this, but I do recommend, if you've never been in individual therapy, to seek individual therapy before couples therapy, because there are things that come up in couples therapy that you might need to unpack, on your own. I have people who do it concurrently, which I also recommend. Okay. Yeah. therapy. I have a person who was in individual therapy and saw somebody else for couples therapy. And doing it concurrently was still very helpful. So I'm just
Wow.
going, do that to work on yourself. Even if it's not therapy, get yourself a life coach, right?
Yeah.
Or a
Okay.
relationship coach, or
Yeah.
watch some Beauty Told podcasts, right? And get
That's
you some
right,
advice from the
y'all.
different experts that have been on there. But don't go into it blindly, I would say.
Yeah, I
Try to make
agree.
yourself, like, be diligent and what do they say? Intentional, right? Be
Yes. Be
intentional
intentional.
about working on yourself and healing past traumas. And if you can't do it yourself, then call somebody like me.
Yeah.
Right? Or somebody that you love and trust to, just help you unpack those things. But I feel like doing that self-work,
Definitely.
dating yourself.
Yes.
Yes.
That's a
Dating
game
yourself is
changer.
important. And that's different from going to therapy, but
It
dating yourself
is.
is like figuring out what you like.
Yes.
Right? Having experiences that you want to experience, so that you're not waiting for somebody to experience them with. Go to that
Yeah.
concert.
That's right.
Go on that trip. Go on that girl's
Yes.
trip.
That's right.
Right? Go on that solo trip.
Yeah. I
Right?
did that.
Figure out who you are alone and be comfortable with that person.
Yeah.
Love that person before you go off,
Wow.
and present that to somebody else. And because the more you love you,
Yep.
you invite love.
That's
right?
right.
You
That's
exude
right.
that.
You can better accept it now.
Yes. And you will repel, right, anything that's not gonna love you back. Right.
Yes.
The more you are confident about yourself, your
Mhm.
standards do go up now.
That
Right?
part,
It might be
yeah.
harder for you to find somebody.
Right. Which is a good thing,
Because you
too.
get so comfortable with yourself and who you are that it's hard for anybody to walk over your boundaries.
Yep.
Right?
That's right.
Put you in to stress you out, make you
Yeah.
anxious, make you have low self-esteem.
Yeah. Disrespect
Yes.
you. Like,
Yeah.
you're
Oh
right.
yeah.
You're
Yep.
right. You start to find your value and worth once you've
Absolutely.
done the work
Yeah.
to find you. That's a good point.
Also, dating yourself too. One of the things that I had a client who was into dating apps. And no judgment, but I wanted her to get off those apps so bad. And it wasn't that, it was the quality of what she was finding on the dating apps. And they weren't all duds, right?
Okay.
But
Most of them were, though.
yes, most of them were. And what I did encourage her to do was to get out of the house.
Yeah.
So this is for you single folks, because listen,
Okay.
I'm married. I stay put up. I be at home.
As you should.
Yes,
girl,
as I
with
should.
your
Ain't nothing
boo.
out here.
That's right.
But you have to, put yourself out there, but not just to find somebody. What I encouraged her to do was find a hobby.
Yeah.
Do that thing that you always wanted to do. If it's a ballroom dancing class or rock climbing.
Yeah.
Right? Or what's the pickleball? Everybody play pickleball now.
I gotta learn that. I'm gonna eventually learn
you
it.
might find your boot on the pickleball court.
That's true.
Okay.
You find them when you least expect them now. I will tell you that.
Or go to that festival or that spades tournament or that church event.
Yeah.
Right? To put yourself out there.
That's
and
right.
go to things that you like, but with the intention of, I'm just gonna go and have a good time and find something that I like to do.
Yep.
Or something that I always wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right. And then the endorphins that it brings out. The happiness that it might exude in you, or just you doing that regularly. And then the maybe likelihood of finding somebody that in that space that has a shared interest, right? So that hobby, and this is something I learned for actually my supervisor, that hobby is that first kind of connection that you have. I met them in rock climbing. We both like rock climbing. Well, what else do we like?
Yeah.
I like anime. I like anime. He like anime too. We
Where
both
you
like
learn to
movies.
like it.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. So, and being sorry. So that's another one. I like that you said that. So going away from dating yourself and finding a hobby, or finding people, be open to other things. That was another one. So I know I had to go back to Pop the Balloon, but there was an episode where the guy was like, he was a big anime fan. Half the girls pop their balloon.
Oh yeah.
Half of them pop their balloon.
I remember him.
Let me tell y'all something. I'm coming about. No, listen, this is come about my therapy hat. Y'all better give these nerds now. I ain't gonna tell y'all why I know. Okay.
They look.
Listen.
They say something to be.
They intelligent, right? Okay. You might watch them. You might play some video games. You might watch some wrestling, some Dragon Ball Z. Okay. They treat you right. Okay.
But they do though. They definitely have a different quality to themselves, And that's why I said you find them when you least expect them.
Yes.
And sometimes it wasn't what you had according to your list.
Or you might.
List.
you might want somebody that, you might have never dated somebody that plays sports and stuff like that, and find out that you like that kind of thing. Like, oh, football ain't so bad.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I could be with him, So
Yeah.
that is, I like what you said, that
That's
like
good.
going outside of your comfort zone is going to be, to me, a really big thing for you singles that's trying to date. Don't limit yourself. Yeah. Don't limit yourself for your hobbies, your dating aspects, and get out the house.
Get out the house.
Get out the
Especially now
house.
because we outside. It's
Yes.
summertime.
Yes.
Not to date my episode, but I'm just going to
Yes.
say I ain't in this dress for nothing. It's
No, that's
warm
right.
outside and we got to dress accordingly.
Yes,
okay?
you do.
So
Yes, you do.
My favorite time of the year. So find y'all boo.
Yes,
as
and
we
this
get
is
ready to go into the next season.
and like festivals and stuff. Like I said, this is a great time for festivals.
Great time with festivals.
People about to be outside in Cleveland. Drew Hill coming to the park, picnic, stuff in the park.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of I like to work out. So when I tell y'all, listen, I don't pay them no attention, but it's men in them gyms, y'all.
Plentiful,
fellas in the gym.
Okay, plentiful. Not that I'm looking, but
right.
plentiful.
There's fellas in there, okay?
Yes.
They working on their body, you working on your body, okay? Y'all might like each other's body, okay?
Right.
So get yourselves out there.
Good point,
but like I said, find something and try to be healed. Go through healing. Be a work in progress, I would say.
Absolutely.
To be a yellow flag, if anything, right? Yeah. So
a yellow flag, they become the green flags.
Yes, exactly. Hopefully they turn into somebody's green flag.
Yeah.
But I wish everybody the best of luck. I know I hear a lot about how bad the dating pool is and things like that, but there are people finding love out here. Listen, while we were sitting here doing the podcast, even a cousin of mine, congratulations, just got married and she found her person.
Congrats.
You know what I mean? And I love to see that. So there is light at the end of the tunnel for anybody who's feeling struggling with the dating and feeling hopeless. There are lights that go in there. Go out there and find your green flag.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Go find that green flag, y'all. They're out there, my beauties and gents.
Yeah, beauties and gents. And that's another thing I wanted to, for men and women, right? To all of that dating advice is for men. I know I'm a woman now, but that's for men and women.
Yes.
Like, put yourselves out there. Men too, go outside of your comfort zone. Yeah. So
I love it. Well, I think that is great advice that, like you said, is best suited for both my beauties and gents. Because we're all out here trying to find our person, trying to find love. And what better way to do it than to start with oneself and get you together, date you, so you can be able to date others.
Yep.
So, I've had a grand time with you, by the way. I already knew it was going to be
fun.
good. And I've got to learn lots, even for myself. Like I said, I love to get the expertise side of it. Because, like I said, you didn't get all them degrees and education for nothing. We're applying them to our real lives.
Yes.
And I appreciate you being able to come and share that with my beauties and gents so that way we can have, like I said, those healthy relationships, even if it's within ourselves first.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So thank you.
No problem. And I can't stress how much I learned from other people's experiences. Like, yes, I've got degrees and have read the books and things like that, but I learned so much from my clients. Definitely. And I was telling you that before, like life experiences really is the best teacher.
It really is.
Yes.
I couldn't agree with you more. So, so I have to, because this is just what I do here. Because all of us, guys, the whole reason why I do this, all of us are beautiful in our own way. And not just exterior qualities, but I like to know and ask every guest. So today is your turn, Miss Courtney. And I have to know, for not only myself, but those that are watching, what makes you beautiful?
Okay, so this is the most stress-inducing question you've asked me today, because I could talk all day about my expertise and things that I learned, but it's very hard to talk about myself. It puts me on the spot. But thank you for that question.
Of course.
I love people. I love to help people. I love talking to people, learning about people, and just bringing positivity, in any way, shape, or form, but also being a listening ear. So I think one of the things that makes me beautiful is my selflessness.
Okay.
To other people. Therapy is not easy, y'all. I've heard and seen and dealt with a lot of stuff. I'll just say stuff. That people have dealt with. And I think part of what makes me beautiful is the ability to still have faith in humanity.
Absolutely.
For some of the things that I've seen. Still want to help people after some of the stuff that I've been through. And just hopefully the light that I bring, regardless of the stuff that I've been through and seen, I hope that makes me beautiful. And just trying to spread positivity. Like today, not to toot my own horn or anything like that, but I went to my favorite Starbucks and there was a group of women sitting at the table and they were gorgeous, just beautiful, like just beautiful, just black, beautiful, all of them hair. I
Yeah.
mean, and they were just having normal conversation. I just stopped them. I said, ladies, you all look beautiful today. You know
Aw.
what I mean? And I don't want
Yeah.
anything back from that, but I hope that they felt beautiful in that
Yeah.
moment, right? So I hope
Absolutely.
things like that people, from that see the beauty in me and that just
Yeah.
helps make me more beautiful on the inside because I love interactions like that.
I do
Spreading
too. And it's
positivity and
nothing like
light.
sharing that.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
just, too, I meet people and make connections with people. Like I made a connection with you and
Mm-hmm.
I do modeling as well. So talk about outside
Yes,
beauty,
girl.
right? I have
Yes.
to
I
deal with
saw
that a lot. I have
you.
to try to, get my makeup together and everything like that, the outside aesthetic. But I have formed relationships with designers and photographers and just different people from just being who I am.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it is, what they see in me from that. I hope it's beauty. But yeah, I hope it's the light that I bring
Oh,
to everybody that
absolutely,
makes me beautiful.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's drawing, okay. Like
Thank
I said,
you.
it drew me, and I mean, I appreciate you. I mean, gorgeous, by the way. On
Oh,
Sunday,
thank
I
you. I
forgot to
appreciate
tell you. Well, I told you
it.
outside, but it's one
Yeah.
thing when I got to see you strut your stuff because
Thank
I
you.
was not. I wasn't expecting that part. Now,
Thank
girl,
you.
I just thought you was an attendee, and next thing I know, I'm recorded. I'm like, oh,
Yep. Yep. That's fine. You know how
shoot, like,
Beyonce got her Sasha Fierce? I have to find a name
yes.
for her. My husband keeps telling me I have to find a name for
I gotta
her.
find,
But
yeah,
that
yeah.
model version of me is my Sasha Fierce, y'all. I don't know who that is.
Well, that's well, I love her
And she be
too.
walking.
Yes. Oh, honey, she don't play. Okay.
Yes. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Well, once again, like I said, thank you. And
This
thank
was a
you
joy.
guys.
Thank
I mean,
you.
I really hope that you guys enjoyed. I hope that this has blessed you in some type of way. Again, share in the comments what you guys may have learned, maybe some
Yes.
things that you can like include in what we've talked about. What's
Yes.
some yellow flags that maybe we missed,
Yes.
so we can keep that going. And eventually, like I said, hopefully it'll turn to green flags.
Yes.
Or be the right green flag for somebody that you're looking for.
Yeah, I love to see different people's opinions. So yeah, share those red, yellow, green
Yes, all
flags in the
the
comments.
traffic
I
lights.
love reading comments, y'all. So
Same,
yeah.
same. And
Thank you so
listen,
much, Brittany. This was
thank
great. This is
you. Thank
awesome. Yes.
you. And thanks to my subscribers. I love y'all. And if you haven't already, hopefully this episode was the game changer you needed to click that button, share with somebody, and let's keep this community growing and glowing, y'all. So I appreciate you. And until next time, let's make a change.
Bye.